Let me tell you about a guy named Marcus. Marcus is 31 years old. He lives in Columbus, Ohio. He makes $78,000 a year, which, by every definition you've ever heard, is a solid middle-class income. He's been saving for 6 years. 6 years. And last spring, he walked into an open house for a 3-bedroom home in a perfectly average neighborhood, and the asking price was $389,000. He did the math on his phone standing in the kitchen. The monthly mortgage payment? Around $2,800. Then add property taxes, insurance, maybe HOA fees. Suddenly, that number climbs even higher. He realized something in that moment. He'd need to earn almost double his salary just to comfortably afford that house. So he quietly put his phone back in his pocket, nodded once, and walked out. No offer, no negotiation, no second thought. And here's the part that should concern you. Marcus isn't an exception. He's the average. Right now, across the United States, millions of people are doing everything they were told to do. They went to school. They got a job, they built credit, they saved money, and still, they can't buy a home. Not because they're irresponsible, not because they're lazy, but because something deeper has changed. And most people don't fully understand what that something is. Because on the surface, the advice sounds simple. Just save more, move somewhere cheaper, wait for the market to cool down. But what if none of that actually fixes the problem? What if the real reason people can't afford homes anymore has almost nothing to do with personal choices? What if the system itself has quietly shifted? Because that's what this video is really about. Not just rising prices, not just interest rates, but the entire system behind housing. And once you see it clearly, you can't unsee it. Let's start with a number that doesn't make sense at first. The median home price in the U.S. today is hovering around $420,000. $420,000 for a median home, not a luxury property, not a dream house, just average. Now go back about 25 years. Around the year 2000, that same median home cost roughly $119,000. So in one generation, home prices didn't just increase, they more than tripled. Now here's the part most people miss. Income didn't. Back then, the median household income was about $42,000. Today, it's roughly $74,000. So income doubled, but home prices tripled. And that gap? That growing distance between what people earn and what homes cost? That's where everything starts to break. Think about it in real-life terms. Let's say a household makes $100,000 a year. That sounds solid, right? For decades, there was a simple rule people followed. Don't spend more than about 28% of your income on housing. So for a $100,000 income, that's about $2,300 a month. That should cover your mortgage, taxes, insurance, everything. Now try to find a house that fits that budget. In cities like Austin, Nashville, Denver, Phoenix, you're not just struggling, you're basically priced out. Even places that used to be affordable alternatives have seen prices explode. So people are left with two choices. Either they give up completely, or they stretch beyond what they can safely afford and slowly start feeling the pressure. Now let's talk about something that changed the game almost overnight: mortgage rates. Because this is where a lot of people's dreams didn't just get harder, they disappeared. Back in 2021, mortgage rates were unbelievably low, around 2.5 to 3%, which historically is almost free money. People rushed in, bidding wars became normal, homes sold in days, sometimes hours. It felt chaotic, but for many buyers, it was still manageable. Then inflation hit, and to control it, interest rates went up fast. By 2023, mortgage rates crossed 8%, and that changed everything. Let's take a simple example. A $400,000 home. With a 20% down payment, you're borrowing $320,000. At around 3% interest, your monthly payment might be about $1,300. But at 8%, that same loan jumps to around $2,300 or more. Same house, same price. Over $1,000 extra every single month. That's not a small increase. That's life-changing. That's the difference between "I can manage this" and "there's no way I can afford this." Even today, rates are still sitting around 6.5 to 7%, which means the cheap money window is gone. And for millions of people, it closed before they could even step through it. But here's where things get even more complicated. Because it's not just about prices, and it's not just about interest rates. There's something else happening behind the scenes. A supply problem, and it's bigger than most people realize. Right now, the U.S. is short millions of homes. Estimates vary, but the shortage is massive, and it didn't happen overnight. After the 2008 housing crash, construction slowed down dramatically. Builders became cautious. Projects stopped. New developments were delayed or canceled. And even when the economy recovered, housing construction never fully caught up. At the same time, demand kept growing. More people, more families, more need for housing, but fewer homes being built. And then there's zoning. In many cities, building new housing isn't just difficult, it's restricted. You can't easily build apartments in certain areas. You can't add multi-family homes in neighborhoods designed for single-family houses. So even when there's space, there isn't permission, which keeps supply tight and prices high. Now, here's a part that doesn't get talked about enough, and once you hear it, it changes how you see the market. Because you're not just competing with other buyers anymore. You're competing with corporations. After the 2008 housing crisis, large investment firms started buying homes. Thousands of them, sometimes entire neighborhoods. Companies with billions of dollars, cash offers, fast closings, no financing delays. Now imagine you're a first-time buyer. You finally find a home within your budget, you make an offer, and then a company steps in, offers cash, closes in a week. Who do you think the seller chooses? Exactly. And after those companies buy the homes, they rent them out. So instead of owning, you're paying rent, month after month, year after year, with no ownership, no equity, just payments. Housing didn't just become expensive, it became an asset class, an investment, something designed to generate returns. And that creates another problem. Because if you can't buy, you rent. But rent isn't cheap anymore either. In many cities, rent has increased dramatically, 20%, 30%, even more in some areas. So now you're stuck in a loop. You can't afford to buy because homes are too expensive, but you can't save enough to buy because rent keeps rising. Every month, money goes out, but nothing comes back. No ownership, no progress, just staying in place. Meanwhile, homeowners are building equity over time, even if slowly, even if imperfectly. They're moving forward, while renters are trying to keep up. And the impact of all this isn't just financial, it's emotional. It's the feeling of falling behind, even when you're doing everything right. It's delaying major life decisions, marriage, kids, stability. It's long commutes because you can't afford to live near your job. It's stress, constant, low-level stress. And maybe the hardest part is the feeling that something doesn't add up, that the system you were told to trust isn't working the way it used to. So what's the solution? That's the question everyone asks. And the truth is, there isn't a simple one. Some say we need to build more homes, a lot more, faster. Others say we need to regulate large investors, limit how many homes corporations can own. Some argue interest rates need to come down. Others say that could make prices even worse. And then there's a deeper, more uncomfortable idea that maybe the system itself was never designed to work for everyone forever, that maybe rising home prices were always part of the plan, and now we're seeing the long-term effects. But here's what matters most. This isn't about people failing. It's not about bad decisions or not working hard enough. It's about a system that has changed, quietly, gradually, and now very visibly. People aren't asking for something unrealistic. They're asking for a fair chance, a chance to own something, to build stability, to have a place that's theirs. And Marcus? He's still renting, still saving, still trying to figure it out. But he said something recently that stuck with me. He said, "I don't even know what I'm saving for anymore, because every time I get closer, the target moves." The target moves. So here's the question. In one of the richest countries in the world, why is something as basic as a home starting to feel out of reach? And more importantly, who benefits from that? Because the answer to that question explains everything.